So now we're going to look at why does the practice not work? Because the thing is, the tradition basically says, hey, if you do this, it works. Awakening, liberation, those cease to be abstract terms to you. They become your palpably felt, lived reality. And if it's not working, there's some specific reason that it's not working, right? So in terms of those 3 stages of awakening, this first stage, Anava Samavesha, you should expect this to be the fruit of anywhere from about 8 months to 3 years of focused, dedicated practice, where practice means, the cultivation of view, meaning immersing yourself in the teachings, as well as doing all the practices that are available to you. And practicing with the right attitude or motive is important. We'll come to that in a minute. But if you're doing that, in this relatively short time span of half a year to 3 years, you should experience some major results, some major fruit, and that's Anava Samavesha, awakening to your essence nature. And the results of that, as I said, show up really substantially in your life, and people will notice the difference, and you will become just naturally more open, more compassionate, more loving, easier to get along with, free of reactivity, comfortable in your own skin, not judging, blaming, or condemning yourself. And as you can imagine, being free of all that is quite a relief indeed. Can you imagine being totally free of all self-criticism, condemnation? Because I forgot to mention in the last class, total self-acceptance is one of the primary signs of this Anava Samavesha. Total self-acceptance of just all that manifests in the field that gets called you. So that total self-acceptance is a big part of what makes possible these subsequent stages. Okay, so if this is not showing up for you, and you're like, wait a second, I've been practicing for 15 years. That's a lot more than 3, and this hasn't all shown up for me. Tradition says, okay, there's a specific reason for that. Now I've organized these reasons into this list. The tradition doesn't give this list all in one place. This is part of what a teacher does, by the way, is like organize material and present it in a more digestible form to you. But these teachings are very much there. And by the way, I should mention that, I've of course had transmission from living teachers, and everything I'm teaching in these classes, when I talk about tradition, the tradition, I'm always meaning both oral and textual transmission. That is to say, it is a tradition where we combine the teachings from our living teachers with the contemplations of the age-old wisdom in the scriptures. So I'm always drawing on both sources. So some of this material is from oral transmission. You don't find it in any particular text, but the general sentiment is certainly there. Even for that material that comes from oral transmission is reflected in the texts in various ways. So I say, why do yogis today fail to achieve these stages of awakening? 7 reasons. Again, this is my own list, but drawing on what has been transmitted to me in multiple streams. Okay, first reason. Lack of alignment of view, practice, and fruit. So let's look at these 3 Sanskrit terms: darshana, sadhana, or just sadhana in Hindi, sadhana in Sanskrit. So most people have heard the pronunciation sadhana, which is from Hindi. Phala, fruit or result of the practice. These 3 must be in alignment. What does it mean for them to be in alignment? Well, when we talk about fruit, we mean what fruit you're going for. We're talking about clarifying your aspiration. We're talking about knowing what you want. So in terms of aligning, is there an alignment between your view, your practice, and the goal that you're seeking? So you back engineer this by, you start from the fruit. What is it that you want? This is how the whole path takes shape. First, you have to really clarify your aspiration. You have to know what it is you want. Okay, and you might say, oh yeah, okay, I want awakening, this awakening thing, but awakening is not, real to you until it is. So you have to make it personal, so it has to be something that really resonates with you. Like if you say, I really want to know the truth that lies beyond my mind, the truth of being that can only be known directly, if that fires you up, great. Or maybe it's, I want to have total access to the source of unconditional love within me. Or maybe it's, I want to experience radical freedom and openness in any situation and circumstance. All of these are just aspects of one and the same fruit, the goal of the path, but you have to kind of pick which aspect of that fruit excites you and fires you up. You must have a clear sense of your aspiration, or the whole practice can't really work, because desire is the engine of the practice. In all tantric sadhana, we're placing desire in service of liberation. So you need to know what you want, and then you can line up your practice and your view with that. Okay, so I gave some examples. This is also called sankalpa, your intention. What are you aiming at? What fruit are you aiming at? Okay. Now, having said that, the next question is, are you doing the practice that will lead to that fruit? So let's say you want this awakening to your true nature and liberation from identification with the conditioned mind. Now, if you tell me you want that, and your practice just consists of, say, doing the physical postures and some pranayamas, then I'll say, well, look, that sadhana, that practice is all very good, but it's not going to lead in and of itself to the result that you want. If you say, I want a fitter physical body, I want to feel better in my body, and I want to have a clearer mind, well, actually, then in that case, doing the physical postures and pranayama, that can lead to that result. It depends how clear of a mind you want, but pranayama can help clarify the mind. So in that case, the teacher says, sure, great, you're set up. You're doing the practice that leads to that fruit. But this is where you have to have a teacher, because you don't, that's the whole point, is that the clarity of what practice leads to what fruit is not totally apparent for the beginner or even the intermediate student. So you ask your teacher, am I doing the practice that leads to this fruit? Thirdly, remember, we're back engineering it. This is how you get properly set up. Darshana, you need to have a view that supports your practice, that empowers your practice instead of undermines it. So as we'll talk about in a minute, if you have the view, there's something wrong with me as I am, and I'm doing yoga in order to fix it, then that view will actually undermine the practice and eventually disable it if you don't change the view. Whereas if you have the view, there's something right with me as I am, and I'm doing yoga in order to discover it, then that view supports and empowers the practice. Okay, so I'm just giving really simple examples. The point is, again, what do you want? That's the third bullet point. Are you doing the practice that leads to what you want? And are you holding the view or vision of reality that supports that practice? This is called alignment of view, practice, and fruit. Without it, the fruit doesn't actualize, the practice doesn't work, or it works somewhat, but not all the way. So if you're serious about the spiritual path in your life, then contemplating this alignment or lack thereof is pretty important. And consulting with your teachers, if you have several, about this is a good idea.